John is going to be speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual, project number 8 also, getting comfortable with visual aids. And his title is
Using the cerebral cortex amygdala circuit to create successful projects.
all right. That sounds great. His time is 5 to 7 minutes. Please help me welcome Mr. John Anderson.
Thank you,
Sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
By better understanding our brain, we're able to build successful projects with other people. Because we're all hardwired between the frontal cortex, right above the forehead, and deep within the brain, the amygdala, which is the limbic system, with the thalamus. And by understanding this circuit between the frontal cortex, the amygdala, and the thalamus, we can understand how lightning fast we are programmed to consider causality. Now, what will happen if this happens and this happens and this happens? We understand that pattern. We see a pattern that reminds us of a past event that had causality. Then it sends a signal to the amygdala, or the amygdala starts waking up and saying, uh-oh, this reminds me of that time when there was real troubles. And then the thalamus gets into the act and says, what do we need to do here? The body is all ready to go. You just give me the order, and I'll execute that order regardless of what it is. So it allows us to inspire others, because when we understand how it works in us, we understand how it works in other people. And by utilizing that knowledge and by stimulating other people by having questions, we're able to create rapport with them and to work on a project together. This is the cortex amygdala thalamus circuit. The cortex, you see, does our reasoning, our planning, and creates strategy. And I've got the best piece of news for you. Young people are always surprising us by how they can remember things and how quickly they think. But there's one thing that continues to grow and develop with age, and that's the frontal cortex. The more experience that we have, the better we become in understanding causality, cause and effect, and the sequencing of things. And while younger people can think faster and remember where their keys are better than we can remember where our keys are, we have a deeper, richer understanding of causality and how to solve problems and strategy and planning than young people do because of our greater experience. So the thalamus stimulates motor activity to avoid the pain, death, and loss that is feared by the amygdala. The amygdala is the limbic system. It's an old part of our brain. Also, the thalamus is old. It's the cortex that's the new, evolutionary-wise, part of the brain. So we're planning, avoiding fears, and taking action. And here it refers to the neocortex, which is a very thin layer. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick of neurons that is pretty much, well, the frontal part is the strategy. The back part is visualization. It's like a theater screen at the back of our mind, the back of our brain. So the midbrain is the limbic area, and the crocodile brain is the brainstem and the thalamus. The thalamus interacts with the brainstem. So by learning how different parts of the brain interact to keep us alive, we're able to work on projects successfully, more successfully. So what do we want to do when we're doing almost everything in life, in our day-to-day life? We're establishing conversations, we're talking with people, we're finding out what their issues are, projects that they're working on. We look for ways that what we're working on aligns with what they're working on. And in management, when we're able to inspire a team of people by understanding what their individual goals and needs are, and then showing them how in the company, that what the mission and the vision of a company is, then we create internal inspiration where a person is motivated by internal desire and not external motivation of money or prestige. And that's what we're talking about here. And when we're aligned, we can work together. And when we're, now the reverse, I want to give the reverse of this analogy. The reverse of the analogy of the cortex amygdala, thalamus, is rhetorical strategy. That's when you're seeing it working in someone else. In rhetorical strategy, you look at a speech that's being given, or you read a piece of work, an article or a book, and you begin to understand why it is they're arranging their subject matters in the way that they are, because they're working to establish rapport, get us thinking along their way of thinking, to establish commonality of values and what's important, so that there can be alignment and moving forward. So rhetorical analysis is studying how our talks motivate others. So these are like two sides of a coin. You've got the brain organization on the one hand, and then you've got looking at written material on the other. We work together to look for ways that we can have common objectives so that we can align what the vision and the mission of an organization is with what the goals and of the individuals are that are participating on the team. Now, Alvin Toffler in the 1980s introduced the term prosumer in Future Shock. And a prosumer is a customer who has become so aligned with the product or the service that they see a way they can be involved. They're not just an objective observer. They get involved in the project itself, and they become zealots for a brand. So when you're giving a speech and you're talking with your audience, you have to know who they are and what is it that your audience is craving. Lastly, create a feedback loop that you're able to stimulate other people, inspire other people. They're able to communicate with you about what's important to them, and then you can meet that need by the way that your product or service is designed and developed. Thank you very much.